Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Vin Ebenau videocast. It is June the 18th. It's also very rainy outside. Today we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals and the NHL Finals wrapping up, and how Steph Curry and the Warriors were able to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, and how LeBron didn't get one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven. Get a little more to that because that's kind of funny. I got a little bit of a skit planned for that. We got Major League Baseball news. The AllStar Game voting is controversial, I guess. Got 8 Kansas City Royals right now balloted to start the AllStar Game for the American League. The one non-Royal is Angels outfielder Mike Trout, who undoubtedly deserves to be in the AllStar Game. Also, we got the St. Louis Cardinals being investigated for computer hacking, and the New York Yankees reach another streak, going up and down. And it's surprising how much they missed Jacoby Ellsbury at the top of that lineup. So the Didi Gregorius batting in the 2-hole the other night, trying to possibly produce a little more speed at the top of the lineup, setting up for the heart of the order. NBA, though, with the finals just wrapping up the other day, you had a Warriors team that had the best record in the league this year. First-year head coach Steve Kerr, who had won, not two, not three, not four, 5 NBA titles as a player. You give a lot of credit to the coaches that he played for and with. Although it still sounds weird, I still think of him as a TNT color analyst because of just hearing his voice in the video game for all those years. And the regular game, too. He was such a great color commentator. Great NBA coach, though. He was able to gel a whole group of talent on that Warriors team into one cohesive unit. And Steph Curry and the Warriors, who have been getting progressively better year after year after year. And the last coach being Mark Jackson, who was on hand to call the NBA Finals with Mike Breen, Jeff Van Gundy, and ABC. This was a Warriors team that was destined for this, and it was almost set up to where if they weren't able to win this NBA championship, it could be considered a failure. But here's the other thing, too, is that the Warriors are generally pretty young, and they're still getting better. So this is a scary window for the opposition that the Warriors could be fighting for another NBA championship next season. You see they've been getting deeper and deeper in every year, in every round, going a little bit more in depth in the playoffs. This was a great Warriors team led by Steph Curry, led by Klay Thompson, led by Andre Iguodala, who didn't start the game of the regular season but ended up getting the NBA Finals MVP because of his defense on LeBron, because of his offensive scoring and his rebound ability. This was a team that was kind of San Antonio Spurs-esque, where it's not about one guy going out there and saying that, I'm the alpha male on this team and the world and the NBA universe should be around me. This was a team that truly defined team from top to bottom. Didn't matter who it was in the roster. They knew they had a role. They accepted that role. They embraced it, more importantly. And they were able to work together to defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers team, who stormed their way through the Eastern Conference playoffs, got to the NBA Finals, didn't have arguably as tough of a journey as the Warriors did getting there, but still, they were a really, really good team. They were decimated by a couple of different issues over the course of the year. Anderson Varejao earlier. And then once Kyrie Irving was down, I don't want to say that the Cavaliers were destined to lose that series, but it certainly made things that much more difficult. Is LeBron a great enough player to lead them to a championship? Of course. He's arguably the best player in the league. But it's not necessarily about one guy or 2 guys or 3 guys. It's about 4 guys, 5 guys, 6 guys, 7 guys, 8 guys playing together. Same thing in any sport. Basically, you gotta have 9 guys playing together as one. You gotta, in football, you have to have 11 guys playing together as one. You know, in every sport, it's you win and you lose as a team. It's never about just one thing. It's never about two things. It's never about just three things. I'm kind of of the mindset that it's, if you make an error in the field, that it costs a game in a 1-0 game. You don't know that. I mean, you have opportunities offensively to swing the bat in baseball. You have opportunities in basketball that if one of your top guys fouls out, that I lost it because he was playing dirty. That's not it. I think it's of the mindset that no matter what sport you're playing, no matter what you're doing, it's not just about one small thing. It's about a whole bunch of different things. But in the end, it's how you learn from it that makes you even stronger. And congrats to the Golden State Warriors for winning this title. Just fantastic basketball. Selfless. San Antonio Spurs are a much-respected organization because of the way they play basketball. They're not necessarily the rah-rah guys that are saying, "Give me the ball, give me." Or the way LeBron's, and that'll never die. By the way, when he signed with Miami, he was talking about how many championships they were going to win. I don't know if I even want to say classes. It's not the right way to go about things. It's, to have a little humility when you do it. And the Warriors were having fun. And the Cavaliers, for all intents and purposes, with a healthy roster, we could have a rematch of the NBA Finals again next year. And that's something LeBron's used to when, he was in Miami with the Spurs back-to-back years. So it's certainly possible. We could certainly see a rematch. And for all intents and purposes, as of right now, who had two better rosters in the NBA that could go back there as of today? So, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. It's almost like LeBron is kind of like it's Smeagol Golf from Lord of the Rings. He's got to have that ring. He's telling people it's precious. And it was taken away from him again this year. But listen to this though, the fact that he's been to consecutive NBA Finals, and then he's had to put teams on his back, on his shoulders, shows what kind of talented player he is. And I'm not saying, he's bragging a lot or he's an awful human being. He is a great guy, and he's a great athlete. It's sometimes it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. NHL Finals are a little disappointing to me this year. My Rangers weren't in it, so it was a little bitter. But congrats go out to the Chicago Blackhawks, who, when Patrick Kane went down, they're like, oh no, we got no chance. And then they found a way, and that's the kind of team you like rooting for. It's a team who doesn't give up, but they find a way to get things done. And that's just amazing, too. Jonathan Taze, Patrick Kane, they had a great team, and somehow they found a way. And kudos to Ben Bishop, too, of the Lightning, who was a pretty good goaltender. Got a little roughed up in the Rangers series because he had two of the top scoring teams in the league. But playing through the kind of injury that he did in the Stanley Cup Finals, hats go off. That would be painful to play in. And kudos to him for that. But the Tampa Bay Lightning really did have a great year. They got kind of like a younger team, and they're still developing. And they're still going to be really, really good next year. That's the scary part. And so is Chicago Blackhawks. That's the great thing about the NHL is that there's a good amount of parity there. So you're gonna have a lot of the same teams, but a lot of the same teams are gonna keep getting better and better and better. And that's why it's so hard, no matter what postseason you're in, to win a championship. As far as Major League Baseball goes, we got the AllStar Game voting that has caused a little bit of a stir-up. I believe the voting ends July 2nd. Got a couple weeks left. I voted a couple different times, and I'm a big Yankee fan. Always have been, probably always will be. But it's not just about voting in your guys. It doesn't matter what team you root for. You can root for whatever team, and your shortstop can be batting $150, and maybe have no home runs, maybe 8 RBIs, but you like him because he signs autographed baseballs before the game. The All-Star Game, and especially now because it counts for home field advantage, should be about having, and I think that it should always be this way. You should always have the best represented talent, and you gotta, with the All-Star Game, the last few years, you gotta have one representative from every team. Why though? Because then that's when the controversy comes up with who got cut or who didn't make it because they weren't good enough. And it's not about not being good enough. You could have guys, and probably will this year, that don't make the All-Star team because there's not enough room on the roster, because you got to have one representative from every team, plus the starters that were voted in by the fans. And then it goes to the coaching staff to vote on it. It goes to the players to vote on it, which I was even saying the other day, which makes it almost tough for Alex Rodriguez to get into the All-Star Game as a DH. I think he's 3rd or 4th in the voting now. He's not going to get voted in by the fans because he's too far behind there. The coach is going to vote for him, which would be Ned Yost and the Kansas City Royals staff. Are the players going to want Alex Rodriguez in the game? Is he having a good year? Yeah. I don't think he's having a good year as Nelson Cruz and Bruce Morales, but he's having a pretty fantastic year, certainly considering the All-Star. But it's ridiculous. And you take a look at some of these numbers. I was looking at it the other day when I was voting at some of these guys that are being balloted to start in the All-Star Game. It'd be hard pressed to say that any of them that are currently starting, and not to damper it, but that they have actual better numbers than guys that are behind them. And Stephen Vogt from Oakland is having a better season than Salvador Perez, and Salvador Perez is having a great year. It's not a knock on these Kansas City Royals players. It's just Stephen Vogt is having the best season as an American League catcher. Offensively, defensively, he's sound. Brian McCann is having a really good season. Maybe not as good as Salvador Perez. Stephen Vogt, I think, should be the All-Star catcher to start in the American League. The first base is deep this year, and you can see that some of the offense around Major League Baseball is starting to come back as balls are starting to fly out of the yard. Eric Hosmer starting at first base over Miguel Cabrera. Prince Fielder, we're having terrific seasons. Mark Teixeira. And it's maybe 2-3 of those guys are going to make it, but not all of them. Yeah, Albert Pujols is having a renaissance late in his career here with the season that he's having. But I think, unless they're going to do what they did in 2002, I believe, was where they brought 5 American League shortstops. I don't know if they're going to bring 5 first basemen to the All-Star Game. So somebody's going to, or 2 or 3 going to have this get sent home, because they have to go by what gets balloted. And a lot of these guys that are starting for the American League, and I think it's something like this is happening for the first time since 1976, when there were, I believe, about 8 Cincinnati Reds in the National League that were being voted to start the All-Star Game, and that was when they had the paper ballots. Now, this year, it's all electronic. You vote through email, you vote online. There's no more stuffing the boxes at the stadiums or anything like that, so everything is online. You get 10 more votes per email. This year it's 35 blues. It's just usually been 25. And it's countless too. You can create like 10, 20 different emails if you actually wanted to, and just spend all day on the computer voting for the Kansas City Royals or the Cleveland Indians or something like that. It should be the best player at every position that gets put in. And then you kind of run into, should the fans be really voting in for a game that counts? The fans, I think, should have a say. But I mean, it's like with any vote. I mean, who do we want in there? And then the coach is going to vote. So, of course, Ned Yost and his coaching staff are going to bring Royals regardless, either way. I think that's, it's fair and it's expected. But it doesn't mean they necessarily deserve to be there. And it's going to be hard because some of these guys have 500,000-600,000 votes between first and second, or even half, even maybe 1 million between first and third or fourth or something like that. It's going to be tough to have these Royals start going down. Omar Infante is a great second baseman, but he's not having an all-star season, but he's starting for the American League at second base. National League is a little more terrible, but you have a lot of more power guys in that outfield, but it's going to be tough. And the Kansas City Royals really did have a great run last year. Mike Moustakas is having a really, really good year at third base, and he's got similar, but I don't think as good a numbers as Josh Donaldson from Toronto, who's really taken off since he joined the Blue Jays this offseason, which, by the way, I still don't get why Oakland gave up on him to get Brett Lawrie. Donaldson, I believe, is a better all-around third baseman. And on a note that doesn't matter, I think seems to be a more classier guy. Brett Lawrie plays his heart out, plays very, very aggressive, and I think that's a turnoff to a good amount of people around the game. As far as the St. Louis Cardinals go, it's appalling too, because the St. Louis Cardinals are a model organization. I don't know, and most people don't know what's actually going on or why they've been accused. And you're kind of thinking, I just want to make a quick point on this, is, as the story was developing about the Cardinals being investigated for hacking the Astros database, with one of their former employees, Jeff Luhnow, who's now down in Houston as GM. Not changing his passwords, which is not a smart decision to begin with. I mean, especially if you're changing employment, it'd be like going from one place to another place, not changing your password so that somebody can get into your email. That's just not a smart decision. It's wrong for also to hack into somebody else's database and kind of figure it out. And you kind of think about what do they actually know? Like, what information was taken away or looked at? And from what I was hearing, it was very top secret player information, stuff about contracts, and essentially it comes down to information that is so valuable to an organization that if other teams know about it, they can almost throw a parade and get jump in excitement for what information they found out. It's about players' contracts, it's about what players do in minor leagues, who you're scouting, getting for the draft. Jeff Luhnow was the director of player development with St. Louis Cardinals when he was there. So he's got a lot of information that he brought this season. And I think about all the young talent that is now coming up with the Houston Astros, how well they're doing. Guy knows how to scout players. I think he owes credit. You should give him credit for that. It's just a mess, and it's a shame that something like this happened. It doesn't matter who did it. It's the information so valuable that it should have been better protected, but it shouldn't have been hacked into. That's wrong, and I'm against any kind of that. It's a thing happening, and you just kind of hope for the best, hope for things to work out. As far as the New York Yankees go, we got a few more weeks to the All-Star break. Looks like Jacoby Ellsler is going to be back for at least a couple more weeks, because although he can swing a bat, remember it's a lower extremity injury, so it's his knee, so he's got to be able to, I think, run at 100% is what they're trying to have him do before he can come back. And that's important because he's one of your fast guys. He's a guy, unhealthy, who could be one of the top in the American League in stolen bases and runs. And think about Gardner and Ellsbury at the top of that lineup before Ellsbury went down. It was almost like every day, every inning, those guys were getting on base and getting driven in. They're a driving force on the team. And I think some of the pressure is now falling on Brett Gardner as the leadoff man. To almost do like two players rolled into one because of what he can provide. He's a speed guy. He can get on base. He can fly. And the Yankees are an interesting team this year. Yes, they're in the American League East, which everybody says is a wonderful division. But I think they won like 7 in a row once. They lost like 9 of 10. And they've gone kind of up and down this season. They haven't had that moment where they've taken off. And if they lose a game, start a new winning streak the next day. It's kind of they win a bunch of games, they lose a few, they win a bunch, they lose a couple, win more. And it's like that with just about every team in the division. The Toronto Blue Jays had a long, lucky winning streak for last week into this week, before losing a couple games to the Mets at the beginning of the week. And the Rays have stuck around. The Orioles have come around. The Boston Red Sox are struggling mightily. The They just don't have the pitching that they need to get through it. It should be a fun All-Star break, but there's a lot of teams that are still in a playoff position, which should make the trade deadline, which comes up in a little over a month, very interesting. If anything, the Yankees could certainly use the bullpen depth. What are they going to do when Ivan Nova comes back, which they say needs another start to work on his curveball? What are they going to use? A 6-week rotation? Are they going to send Adam Ward to the bullpen, or CC Sabathia, who's been struggling all season long? And Adam Warren's pitched really, really well, so it's kind of like, what do you do? But this could be a very interesting run into the All-Star break too. And this will be a division I believe will be decided in late September. And is it possible that more than one team decided the division? Possibly, because the AL Central is kind of up for grabs. The AL West is kind of a mystery. Got the Houston Astros leading that division. You know, can they hold on to win the division? If not, I think they definitely, you know, have a shot at taking a run at one of the wild card spots. They're just not going away. They keep getting better. They lead the majors in homers. It's incredible the balls that are flying out of Minute Maid Park. It's like at least a couple on a daily basis. Should be interesting though. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, email the Vin Ebenau Show at gmail.com. Let me know what you want me to talk about next. If you have any questions, you can answer them on the next video cast. Follow me on Twitter at Vin Ebenau, and enjoy the sporting world. Until next time, the eyes are on the sporting world.